You know, one of the hardest truths to accept is that your value doesn't decrease just because someone else failed to see it. We spend so much time trying to prove ourselves to people who have already made up their minds. We over-explain, we overgive, we overcompensate because deep down, we believe that if they finally recognize our worth, we'll feel enough. But that belief is a trap, because the moment you tie your value to someone else's acknowledgement, you hand over control of your self-worth. You make it conditional, and anything that's conditional can be taken away. Value isn't given, it's recognized. Think about that. You don't earn worth by being more pleasing, more available, or more impressive. You already have worth simply by existing, by being who you are, by the contribution you bring to the world. The recognition of that worth, however, is up to others, and not everyone has the depth or clarity to see it. Some people are simply not capable of recognizing your value because they're too focused on their own insecurities or too distracted by superficial markers of importance. Their blindness doesn't make you less valuable, it just makes them less aware. When people don't value you, it's often because your presence challenges them. You remind them of what they lack: the courage, consistency, or authenticity they haven't yet cultivated. Sometimes, the very qualities that make you exceptional are the ones that make others uncomfortable. And instead of celebrating your strength, they try to downplay it. But that's not a reflection of your worth, it's a reflection of their capacity. The real test, then, is not whether others see your value. It's whether you do. Can you stand firm in who you are even when others overlook you? Can you keep showing up with integrity when no one's clapping? Can you hold your head high when recognition is absent? Because that's when true self-worth is built, not in applause, but in silence. When you stop chasing validation, something remarkable happens. You become magnetic. People start noticing what you no longer need to prove. Your quiet confidence speaks louder than any justification ever could. The energy of self-assurance draws in the right people, the ones who recognize your worth without being convinced of it. So stop trying to earn what's already yours. Those who can't see your value are not your audience. Their blindness is not your burden. Let your presence be enough, and your absence be the lesson. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is step back. Not to punish, not to manipulate, but to understand. Distance has a way of revealing what presence often hides. When we're too close to a situation, or to a person, we tend to see what we hope is there, not what actually is. We convince ourselves that if we just keep giving, they'll start valuing us. If we stay long enough, they'll change. But people don't learn to appreciate you by you staying. They learn by you leaving. Distance is a form of self-respect. It's not about ego, it's about clarity. When you pull back, you create the space needed to see the truth. You begin to notice patterns you used to excuse. You see how much effort you were giving and how little was being returned. You start realizing that the relationship, whether personal, professional, or social, was being sustained by your energy alone. That realization isn't comfortable, but it's necessary, because you can't fix what you refuse to see. Many people confuse distance with indifference, but they're not the same. Indifference is cold and careless. Distance, on the other hand, is conscious and compassionate. It says, I value myself enough not to be drained. It's about reclaiming balance. And what's remarkable is that when you step back, two things happen. Those who genuinely care will step forward, and those who are only there for convenience will fade away. Both outcomes are forms of truth, and truth is something you should never run from. There's a psychological shift that happens when you distance yourself. You stop reacting and start observing. You move from emotion to awareness. And awareness gives you choice, the choice to engage differently, to protect your peace, to invest in connections that are reciprocal, not one-sided. It's not withdrawal, it's alignment. You're simply saying, I refuse to be available to people who make me feel invisible. And that's where strength begins. Because distance doesn't just change relationships, it changes you. It rebuilds your sense of worth, sharpens your perspective, and reminds you that your presence is a privilege, not a guarantee. So, if someone doesn't value you, don't fight harder to prove you deserve their attention. Step back. Let the silence speak. The ones who truly see you will notice the distance. The ones who never did never will. And that's your answer. One of the biggest mistakes we make when people don't value us is trying to convince them that they should. We start explaining ourselves, defending our intentions, listing our effort, as if our worth can be proven through argument. But the truth is, the more you explain your value, the less valuable you begin to appear. Because real worth is never explained, it's demonstrated. You don't persuade people to see your value. You allow them to witness it through how you live, how you show up, and how you carry yourself. When you start arguing for your worth, you send an unspoken message that you doubt it yourself, and people pick up on that energy. They sense when you're trying too hard to be accepted, to be understood, to be validated. And human nature is interesting. We tend to undervalue what seems too eager to be validated. Think about it. When something is truly rare, it doesn't advertise. Gold doesn't shout to be recognized. It just is. The same applies to people. The more quietly confident you are, the more undeniable your presence becomes. Demonstrating your worth doesn't mean proving yourself through perfection or performance. It means living your values consistently. It means showing integrity even when no one's watching. It means setting boundaries without guilt and holding your standards without apology. Over time, those actions speak louder than any justification ever could. People start to realize not because you told them, but because they feel it. They sense that you are someone who knows their own value, and that awareness shifts the dynamic. The irony is, when you stop seeking validation, you often get it. When you stop chasing recognition, it starts coming to you, because people respect strength that doesn't demand attention. They're drawn to quiet assurance, the kind that doesn't need approval to function. That's real influence. That's real power. If someone can't see your worth today, let your growth make the statement tomorrow. Invest that energy not into convincing them, but into becoming the kind of person whose work, presence, and peace speak for themselves. You don't need to announce your greatness. Your results will do that for you. So the next time you feel the urge to prove yourself, pause. Remember that worth doesn't shout, it shows, and sometimes the most powerful thing you can say to those who doubt you is nothing at all. It's easy to confuse appreciation with attachment. We often stay connected to people who don't value us, not because they make us feel good, but because they make us feel needed. There's a subtle comfort in being wanted, even when it's conditional, but here's the hard truth. Being needed isn't the same as being valued. Someone can depend on you and still not respect you. They can want what you do for them without caring about who you are. We tell ourselves stories to justify staying, stories like they'll change, or they do care, they just don't know how to show it. But those are the illusions of attachment. They keep us tied to situations that drain us. Attachment makes us reactive. Appreciation makes us reflective. One clings from fear, the other connects from gratitude. When someone truly appreciates you, their actions match their words. They notice the little things you do, they reciprocate effort, they don't make you question your place in their life. Appreciation feels safe, attachment feels uncertain. The problem is that most of us are taught to equate consistency with loyalty. We think walking away means we've failed, but loyalty should never require the abandonment of self-respect. You can care deeply about someone and still choose to distance yourself from what harms you. You can love someone and still recognize that they don't value you in the way you deserve. That's not cruelty, that's maturity. When we stay attached to people who undervalue us, We start shrinking to fit their comfort zones. We dull our light so we don't outshine them. We silence our voice so we don't disturb their ego. But every time you do that, you disconnect a little more from your authentic self. Appreciation, on the other hand, allows you to expand. It's mutual. It says, I see you and I value what you bring, not I need you because I'm afraid to lose something. The truth is, not everyone is capable of appreciating you, and that's okay. Your worth isn't determined by how others treat you, but by how you respond when they don't. When you learn to distinguish appreciation from attachment, you stop mistaking pain for love and dependency for connection. So don't cling to being needed, choose to be valued. Because when you finally let go of attachment, you make space for the kind of appreciation that doesn't ask you to shrink. One of the hardest lessons in life is realizing that your energy is not infinite. You can't pour endlessly into people who refuse to fill you back. You can't keep investing in places where your presence is taken for granted, and yet that's what so many of us do. We keep trying to convince the wrong people to see our worth instead of redirecting that same energy toward those who already do. But here's the truth: growth requires redirection. It's not just about walking away from what doesn't serve you. It's about walking toward what does. Every environment you stay in either nourishes you or drains you. Some people make you feel seen, energized, and capable. Others make you doubt yourself, question your value, or play small just to be accepted. The difference lies in reciprocity. Healthy relationships, whether personal, professional, or social, are never one-sided. They're built on an exchange of respect, effort, and care. When that exchange becomes uneven, the imbalance slowly chips away at your confidence, and before you realize it, you start confusing exhaustion with loyalty. Redirecting your energy doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you start caring wisely. It means choosing relationships where your effort is mirrored, not exploited. It's about finding people who don't just tolerate your growth, but inspire it. People who remind you of your strength when you forget. Because the truth is, you become a reflection of the environments you nurture. If you surround yourself with people who see you, you'll rise. If you surround yourself with those who don't, you'll spend your life trying to prove something that shouldn't need proof. This redirection is also a form of responsibility. You owe it to yourself to protect your potential. Every ounce of energy spent convincing someone to value you is energy stolen from someone who already does. There are people waiting to appreciate your consistency, your vision, your heart, but they can't find you if you're still busy chasing validation in the wrong places. So stop explaining yourself to the blind. Go where your light is recognized, not questioned. When you choose to invest in people who elevate you, your life begins to expand in ways it never could in the presence of those who diminished you. Because, at the end of the day, the goal isn't to be seen by everyone. It's to be valued by the right ones. Walking away is one of the hardest things you'll ever do, not because you're weak, but because you're wired to connect. As human beings, we crave belonging. We want to be understood, valued, and seen. But the truth is, not everyone will meet you at the level of respect or effort you deserve. And when that happens, staying becomes a silent form of self-betrayal. Walking away, on the other hand, is not abandonment, it's alignment. It's choosing peace over chaos, clarity over confusion, and self-respect over approval. When someone doesn't value you, it's tempting to try harder, to prove them wrong, to make them see what they're missing. But you can't teach appreciation to those who benefit from your undervaluation. You can't make people respect you by sacrificing your dignity. Every time you stay where you're not valued, you reinforce the idea that they can keep giving you less and you'll still accept it. But the moment you walk away, you redefine the standard. You communicate through action, not words. I will not remain where I am unseen. Walking away is not a loss, it's a recalibration. It's reclaiming your time, your energy, your focus. It's the courage to choose uncertainty over disrespect. Because What most people fear about walking away isn't losing the other person. It's facing themselves. It's sitting in that silence and realizing how much they tolerated to feel accepted. But that silence is where strength is born. That's where you rediscover your identity outside of other people's approval. And here's something to remember. When you walk away, you don't just leave someone else behind, you leave behind the version of yourself that's settled. You outgrow the mindset that believed love had to be earned, respect had to be begged for, and value had to be proven. You evolve into someone who understands that peace is not negotiable. This is what maturity looks like, knowing when to stay and when to step away. It's recognizing that your worth doesn't depend on who chooses you, but on what you choose to tolerate. Sometimes silence is the loudest statement you can make, because absence has a way of teaching lessons presence never could. So, when they don't value you, don't fight, don't chase, don't plead. Simply walk away, and let your silence remind them of the one thing they lost that they'll never replace: your peace.